Raw Talk is opinion-based, and everyone is encouraged to do their own research. This is part 2 of relationships. Welcome back to Raw Talk. And the question this week stays the same. Who do you love? Do you have self-love? Do you have love for your family? On this episode, I'm going to be diving into friendships and then the big, juicy, romantic relationships. Check out last week's episode, part 1, where I cover the self relationship, the relationship that we have with ourselves. And then I also covered relationships with families and different layers to that. Do you have a healthy family, toxic family? Do you got a chopping block and the cleaver in your hand? Check that episode out to kind of see how I broke that down. But to keep this train moving, I'm going to jump into friendships and then romantic relationships. So like I was concluding on the last one, we don't choose who our family members are, but we do have a choice on who our friends are. And sometimes friends just come into our lives in ways that we don't expect. And I'm getting a little bit older now. I'm 37. So I don't know if I'm really going to be able to make new friendships like the ones that I already have cultivated. I will say that I'm fortunate for my friend group. I've known the majority of them for like 15 plus years. So I've known most of these people since I was like 10, maybe 11. And that's a long time. And I'm also fortunate because I have like 7 close friends that I consider to be my brothers. They're all extended family. I've learned so much from all of them. Some of them have been on the chopping block before, and I should have been on some of their chopping blocks before with my ridiculous behavior that I used to have. But I'm so grateful for my friends, and friends are extremely important, right? Because family doesn't always work out, but we get to choose our friends. So how do we find healthy friendships? And, how do we cultivate those friendships to be lasting? Because it is important to have people that we can rely on beyond like our self motivation and drive that we got. Like we should be able to rely on other people than just ourselves. You could only hope. So with friendships, I'll just be honest. Well, we all know here that I wasn't always a stand-up guy. Like I was doing some stupid shit, and I met some of my friends while doing that, while being an idiot. And we were all idiots. But here's the thing, is all my close friends who are still in my life right now, like we all continued to grow together and we went through the phases in our life together. And all my closest friends now are on the same trajectory that I'm on. Like we're trying to better our lives. We're trying to be bigger individuals, hold the house down, be successful, have some passions, like, finding our purpose in life and then doing our best to fulfill that. And I have an amazing friend group that does hold me accountable and really helped me through some of my hard times. And I did lean on them. And it's good to do that with friends, but you can't lean on them too much. And what I mean by that is you can't just always be like complaining all the time and like talking about your shit. Like to really have a successful friendship, you need to be an active listener. And everybody tuning into Raw Talk probably knows my good friend Kevin Batstone, who I co-host Happy Friday America and Discussion Combustion podcast with. That man is one of the best listeners I've ever met. And he does this for everybody. And it's a skill that I admire that he has. And I've, implemented it, because when you're a good listener, that's when people will open up to you. And so part of being a friend is being a good listener and having an open heart to taking on some of your friends' struggles. And I've done that for my friends. I always want to listen whenever I can, but it's really important to cultivate those friendships, because not only do your friends give you something to do, or you can give them something to do if you're the planner of the group. And I encourage everybody out there to have the confidence to be able to plan something. We should all be able to be adults and be like, hey, let's meet this day, this time. Let's make it happen. Let's make it fun. But I'm so grateful for my friendships. And I guess I'll speak to, if I didn't have any friends, what exactly would I do in order to find and cultivate new friendships in my life? And that would really be to, pursue my purpose, really chase something that I know is important to me. And more than likely, if you're doing that, you're going to get involved in some kind of group. You're going to get involved in some sort of industry, or there's people out there doing what you love to do. And I feel like that's a great place to start friendships, is find something that you love and then find people who also have that same interest and same passion for whatever that is. And then from there, you can just grow that. But we have to be selfless, and it's important to express ourselves. But like I'm saying, it's really important to let other people express themselves and to actively listen to that. One way that you can tell, or one of the best ways to be an active listener and have good questions, is when you're actively listening to somebody, once they finish their statement, you're obviously going to acknowledge what they're saying, but then ask them a secondary question that has something to do with what they're just talking about. And that's how you'll really get to the deeper layers of a thought process. And that's how you're really going to get to know somebody too. How can you really call somebody your friend or your best friend if you've never really listened to their issues and their thought process, And that's really important. So cultivate your friendships. Let's get some good peers in our lives that hold us accountable. And we can find amazing people by pursuing our passions in life. We will come across people that are on those same trajectories as we are, as you are, as I am. Okay? So that's my friendships. Now, again, in this part 2, part 1, I covered the self-relationship, family relationship. This episode, I just broke down friends. And now we're going to get into romantic relationships. Okay, so one underlying theme that I'm going to have to touch on is the relationship with yourself is the most important, and you should never be looking for a romantic relationship to fill a void of emptiness within you. You're going to find an empty relationship. You're going to find somebody who's dealing with the same emptiness that you are, and if you are depending on somebody else to make you feel full, then that's the wrong way to do it. Just to be frank, that's the wrong way. You have to have that self-love before you can truly love somebody else. So before I jump into the romantic relationships, I had to touch on that point, because I think that's one of the most important parts of being in a romantic relationship. Is you are complete coming into this. You have happiness in your life, and you found that by yourself. So I want nothing more than for everybody to have a strong self-relationship and have that self-love and love in your life that you create. You create this love. You create this energy. I want that so bad for everybody. But so I've been in relationships before where I was not a complete person, and I was leaning into those relationships unnecessarily, and letting those people almost dictate and control who I was and what my life was as well, and that was unhealthy for me too. So really, it's when you're getting into a relationship, it should kind of come naturally. And boy, how do I condense this one? Romantic relationships are something that we all want in our lives. Even if you are a complete individual, like, you probably still have a sexual need. Okay, I'm just gonna break it down like that. You probably still have some kind of sexual need and that interaction. So for me, I found, and it's different for everybody, what you have I don't know the words, poly relationships, monogamous, you got all these different types of relationships. I'm old school. I like a monogamous relationship one partner, that trust, that love, that's important to me. Everybody's different when it comes to this, so I can only speak from this perspective. But we should all spend some time dating, right? And what I mean by that is just because you kind of like somebody doesn't mean that they should be like your end all option. You should really be seeing multiple people respectfully, of course, and that way you can figure out what you really like and don't like. If you just fall head over heels for the first person that you meet, like I have in my past, then, a lot of times it leads to relationships that are just unhealthy. And right now I am in a relationship, and I've been in this relationship for, I don't know, coming up on like 8 months now. And I'm so grateful that I met my girlfriend. She's amazing. However, when I met her, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was chasing my passion, doing my best to help people develop a strong mentality, and I was pursuing that, and I was like losing weight and like working on myself, and I was happy, so happy, right? But then a beautiful, wonderful woman came into my life, and I was dating at that time, so I had some experience. And for me personally, intimacy without romantic feelings with multiple partners, there's an emptiness that comes with that. And I found out by doing it that really isn't for me. Now, that's just my perspective. That's not the type of lifestyle I want. That's not the type of intimacy I want. So I was finding myself dialing back from engaging, women at that time, but I still was having fun dating, so I was just doing a little different. And once you meet somebody that just kind of seems to be on your level, and they're encouraging you, like in my scenario, I could not deny that I had a beautiful soul in front of me that also, in my opinion, is drop dead gorgeous. So I think it would have been like really ignorant for me to not pursue this. And I'm happy that I'm pursuing this relationship. Currently live with my girlfriend. We moved on that pretty fast, but I feel like it was the right thing to do. And my intuition was correct, because it's been absolutely wonderful. And even though we've had to have some conversations, just like anybody should, like we need to understand each other, but neither of us have ever raised our voices at each other, and it's been super healthy. So that is kind of a quick breakdown. But relationships, romantic relationships, are something that is truly secondary to me. Like it's so important to have that self-love, to have a good peer group, like your friends. Like, come on, man. My people, y'all are my warriors. Y'all been with me when I was at my lowest of low, and y'all are seeing this now, and you're still with me, and now I see y'all excelling. Like, those are my people. They've been with me forever. You can't replace my friends. And, my girl is equally important. She sees more of me than my friends do, and then in another sense, my friends see more of me than my romantic relationship. And it's important to keep it fun, the romantic relationship. Like, if I have major issues going on, like, sure, I'll fill in my girl and like let her know, but I'm really leaning on my friends and my peer group to vent that type of stuff too, because in my experience, having a fun relationship that isn't so serious all the time, that's the healthiest relationship. And it's a choice to keep it there. And I've been doing my best to do so. And because of that, it's been so much fun. But you shouldn't be looking for a romantic relationship in order to make you feel happy. Like, you should be happy before you get into a romantic relationship, for sure. And there's so much that I could cover within relationships alone, just romantic relationships, but those are like my foundation thoughts on it. Like, how to find a successful girl, and like, all this other stuff, like, and being centered in who I am and keeping it fun and mysterious. Like, that is all a whole nother Pandora's box of information that we can cover, and maybe I should get into that. And, you know, since I'm talking about it right here, awesome book, 3% Man. I did not want to read it. I thought this dude was a grifter, the author, Corey Wayne. I thought he was full of shit. I ignored the teachings for 6 years, and then I started to fall for some girls and make some really insecure behavior moves that are like seeking confirmation, just like that weak male mentality that exists. And like I learned the lessons the hard way before I actually started applying this information. But what's crazy about that is that it didn't just change the way I looked at relationships romantically. It changed the way I viewed all relationships. And it also helped me fundamentally change what I consider to be this centered, immovable mountain version of Arthur Raw. And I'm still constantly working on that version every single day. Every single day I'm working on staying centered and being the best version of me that I can. And that's that self-love relationship. Man, I could easily keep going off on this, but who do you love? Do you love yourself? Do you love your family? Do you love your friends? Do you love your counterpart, your romantic counterpart? I hope that you can answer yes to all those. If not, the place to start is with yourself, and I believe in that you can find prosperity within your thought processes, and you can find prosperity within your social groups, and we can cultivate and grow beautiful relationships in our lives. I'm so thankful for my girl too, Paola. I love you, baby. You are amazing. Who do you love? Thanks for tuning in to Raw Talk. I'll be coming back at you again next week. Let's go.